We were talking about piecewise and greatest integer functions, and we want to graph piecewise functions and write piecewise functions from a graph. So here we have a piecewise function given to us, and we want to write the equation below. So first thing I want to do is I want to take a look at the restrictions here. So I'm going to draw my restrictions for my domain. In this case, we're talking about here's 0, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's -4. X is equal to -4. And then we have another restriction right here. I'm going to just draw this in. And that is going to be x is equal to 2. So when I'm going to draw my piecewise function, I need to keep in mind those restrictions. So the first one that we can look at, so we have a closed dot here on this one. So this one says this one's going to be x is less than or equal to -4. That's the domain because this is a closed dot here. And I have to be able to come up with the equation for this line. So I like to kind of show my work and figure out the line because it's kind of hard to see sometimes if it doesn't cross the y-axis. And so here I can see, just draw a light line. Here I can see that it does cross at 0, 0. And it looks like it has a -1 slope, so down 1 over 1. So in that case, my y equals mx plus b form, if I know I'm trying to be y equals mx plus b, in this case, my b is 0. And my slope, I go down 1 over 1. So my slope is going to be -1x, and that's equal to y. So for this one, we're going to call this function g. We're going to call this function g of x. And my first equation, g of x is equal to, well, I can reduce this because the 0 doesn't really matter and the 1 doesn't matter. The only thing that I really care about is the negative. So the first one is going to be g of x is equal to -x, and it's restricted on the domain where x is less than or equal to -4. The next one that I can come and look at is the graph in the middle, and I want to take a look at that. So that one does cross the x-axis. So I can actually look at that and see my y-intercept and all those things. So the y-intercept is right here. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. So if I'm looking at the equation, y equals mx plus b. So I have a +3 for my y-intercept. And the slope in this case, we're going up 1 over 1. So the slope is going to be +1. So my slope is +1, and that is equal to y. And if we look at the restriction, -4 is not included. So that's going to go from -4, not included, x, and then if we look up here at 2, that's also not included. So also less than +2. So when we go to graph this, or we go to write down the equation, is just x plus 3. And the domain is restricted between -4 is less than x is less than 2. And the last one that we can come to is our graph up here to the right. And here we can see that this dot is included. And we know that this graph is at 2 here. So x is greater than or equal to +2, and there's no restriction. This arrow means it's going on to infinity. The other thing, there's no slope to this line. The slope in this case is 0. So we look to where this graph would cross the x or the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the equation of y equals 6. So first we write our equation, which is y equals 6, and then we put our restriction, and the restriction is x has to be greater than or equal to 2.